Welcome to Subramani. One thing I'm being accused of is not asking you to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Please do that. I want to increase my number of subscribers to 1 million. I'm not very far away. I've already reached 50,000, so just another 9.5 lakhs more to go. Okay, jokes aside. I wanted to answer one question which many people have been asking. Perhaps they are a little younger than what I think they are. As a retiree, should all my money be in interest bearing securities, or should I also have equity portfolio? If I have to have equity portfolio, why should I have equity portfolio? What are the advantages and disadvantages? Of course, I've spoken about all this many times, but specifically aimed at the retiree. And when I'm saying retiree portfolio, you could be making this in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, doesn't really matter. Whenever you retire, you are going to use this portfolio. So it is not, this video is not meant for the 65-year-old who is starting to invest today in equities. For him, it may not be as useful as it would be for a 25-year-old who is trying to build a portfolio and saying one portion of my portfolio will be for my retirement. So typically in a retiree portfolio, I am just talking of two asset classes. There will be debt and there will be equity. Now, what are the advantages of having equity? Why should you have equity at all? So first of all, you need to be worried about inflation. So if you're worried about inflation, even at say 8%, or it could fall down to 6%, even if it falls to 6%, it means your buying power goes down 50% over the next say 12 years. And about 80% would be wiped off over the next 25 years. And a retiree portfolio has to be ready for 30-40 years of life, because assuming it's a husband and wife where the husband retires at the age of 55 and the wife is now about 47 years of age, I'm saying 8 years younger, so she's 47, and if she lives till the age of 100, okay, which means that portfolio has to last for 53 years. This is, of course, I'm saying this would be an outlier kind of a thing, but having a portfolio ready for 30-40 years is a must today, right? So you need to be worried about inflation. So inflation is not something which your debt instruments are capable of taking care of. You might at best meet inflation, very unlikely that you will beat inflation in your debt instruments. So to beat inflation, you need equities. Another advantage with equities is in equity you get two types of returns. One is the dividend income and one is the terminal value. Whenever you sell, there will be capital gains. As of today, I mean, things could change tomorrow. Your dividends are taxed at normal rate. So whatever is your dividend, whatever is your tax rate, you will pay that. However, capital gains is taxed at a lesser rate, maybe at 10%. I'm sure going forward things could change. It would become 15%, it could become 20% with indexation, or you could get that choice, whatever. Right now it is 10%. So assuming your 30% income bracket, your dividends will get taxed at 30%. You cannot avoid that, but your capital gains at least is getting taxed at a lesser rate. That is another reason why equities is better than bonds, in the sense that there is a terminal value and the terminal value gets taxed at a lower rate. Another important thing is when a company does well, dividends go up. Dividends normally keep pace with inflation. Your bond will not pay more because the company is doing well, right? The company is doing well, so instead of 9% return, we will give you 11%. That has never happened, right? It will never happen. But dividends keep increasing, dividends keep pace with inflation, assuming, of course, that you have a good portfolio. And though that is an advantage. Of course, there are disadvantages. I'll be the first to say that, because very unlikely if you choose good bonds that it will be a default, right? Of course, there are bond defaults, but assuming you get into some good credit risk fund or gilt fund or any of those funds, then chances are over a long period of time you will not lose money. You will lose money, yes, but the overall return that you get will be better than trying to buy your own bonds or keeping in some finance company which where the owner's account gets attached, right? We recently saw in Muthoot Finance, it must be sending a lot of chill down your spine if your monies were in that company. So that risk you have to reduce by doing good quality of fund selection or rather fund selection and or security selection. Those two things you have to take care of. So if you do that, then that risk is reduced, but that risk is always there in equity. The company in which you're getting good dividend yield suddenly stops paying dividend or reduces dividend. That won't happen with interest. So those risks are there in equity, which is not there in debt. So you have to understand that both come with some advantages and disadvantages. Overall, I would think 70-30% kind of a portfolio is good at your age of 70. You should. Another advantage with fixed income securities give is a guaranteed return over a small period of time. For 10 years, you can put into some bond which will assuredly give you an X percentage of return. Today, if you can buy some good NBFC bond, you will get some NBFC debenture or bond or fixed deposit for 10 years, you will get 8.4%. I am shooting this in May 2023. So yeah, 8.4 does not look too bad if you're going to lock in for 10 years. Could the interest go higher? That's a different way to ask that question, but yes, that is an advantage that you have today. If you were to make fixed deposits, you could lock it in for 10 years. The other advantage is some kind of liquidity could be available in these deposits. They could cut some interest but pay you. That kind of liquidity could be there, whereas in some shares liquidity could be dramatically reduced. But I don't think liquidity is something that a typical portfolio holding 500, 1000 shares or 2000 shares need to worry too much about. Yes, if you're putting a substantially big amount, you need to worry about liquidity. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of having a equity plus bond portfolio. I'm not even getting into whether you should have gold, real estate. Here I'm just talking about these two asset classes, and I think you should do a combination. In case of debt, what you can do is invest in some debt funds, but remember, debt funds today get taxed at regular rates, but you are still postponing tax. In case of dividend, you are paying tax at 30%, but you're paying capital gains at 10%. So if you have something like a multi-asset fund, just hold your horses. Multi-asset is treated very differently by different fund houses. So before you invest in a multi-asset fund, check out how is it going to be taxed, because there is one multi-asset fund which is taxed as current income, one which is taxed as debt, one which is taxed as equity. So find out before you invest. In multi-asset fund, again, you're postponing your income, and even when you get the income, you will be paying tax at a lesser rate. You will be paying at 20% plus indexation. So it will be effectively say 10-12% versus 30%. Of course, if you are going to be at the lowest slab rate of 10%, then fixed deposits are good. If you are at a highest slab, let's say 30% plus, we are just negotiating the surcharge rates. If you are at 30% plus, then you are going to be better off with equities and paying lesser capital gain. So find out your taxation position, find out your comfort with equity, find out your age. So even if you are younger, start building a good dividend yield portfolio, which will help you during your senior citizen years and help you pay capital gains. Thank you.